We are covering the critical topic of viruses for the ServSafe Manager exam, focusing specifically on Norovirus, Hepatitis A, and Rotavirus. The first thing you must burn into your memory for the exam is that viruses do not grow in food. They use food as a vehicle for transmission. This is a fundamental difference from bacteria. An exam question might try to trick you by asking about the growth of viruses in the temperature danger zone, which is 41 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember, conditions like temperature, acidity, and moisture, which are critical for bacterial growth under FATOM, are irrelevant to viruses. Viruses need a living host to multiply. They are pure contaminants. The ServSafe Manager exam will test your understanding of transmission routes, which are almost always linked to poor personal hygiene. The primary route is the fecal-oral route. Imagine an exam scenario. An employee uses the restroom, fails to wash their hands correctly, and then handles ready-to-eat food like a salad or a sandwich. That is a classic norovirus or hepatitis A transmission scenario. Another common source is contaminated water, especially for shellfish like oysters, which can concentrate viruses by filtering the water. Norovirus is the leading cause of foodborne illness in the United States, and you can expect questions on it. The exam will test you on its highly contagious nature. A very small amount of the virus can make someone sick, and it spreads rapidly. The key symptoms to remember are vomiting and diarrhea, which appear very quickly, usually within 12 to 48 hours. The exam trap here is associating norovirus only with specific foods, while it's often linked to ready-to-eat foods contaminated by an infected food handler. The real focus for your exam is understanding that the source is an infected person. Hepatitis A is another major virus you must know. Unlike norovirus, its onset is much longer, with an average incubation period of 28 days. It's a common trick question, contrasting the rapid onset of norovirus with the slow onset of hepatitis A. The most distinct symptom of hepatitis A is jaundice, a yellowing of the skin and eyes. The exam will emphasize that an employee diagnosed with hepatitis A must be excluded from the operation, and their return requires medical clearance from a doctor and the local regulatory authority. While rotavirus is mentioned in ServSafe materials, it mainly affects young children and has symptoms similar to norovirus. Control measures are the most tested area. Since viruses don't grow in food, you can't rely on time and temperature controls for safety, or TCS, to prevent them from getting into the food. The number one defense is practicing excellent personal hygiene. Proper hand washing is the single most important prevention method. The exam will test you on the entire process, scrubbing with soap for 10 to 15 seconds as part of a total 20-second process. Another critical control is preventing bare hand contact with ready-to-eat food. For a mnemonic, remember this phrase: viruses ride, bacteria reside. This helps you recall that viruses just use food as a vehicle, while bacteria can reside and multiply in the food itself. Finally, according to the FDA Food Code, an employee with vomiting or diarrhea must be excluded from the operation. If they are diagnosed with norovirus or hepatitis A, they must be excluded and cannot return without approval from a medical professional and the regulatory authority. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.